in a pretty tasty place. Perhaps it's the day, perhaps it's the weekend that has swung it irreversibly. Liverpool have won at the home of the serial champions, and while still there are 3 months of football to be played, Liverpool are surely established now as the overwhelmingly likely inheritors of Manchester City's crown.
Yeah, you may not have seen it on camera, but there was a long clinch between Alisson and Van Dijk that was quite telling. It was a brilliant performance from Liverpool, a performance that brings some familiarity from what a title-winning big away wins like in the last few months of a season. Tough to beat and compact in defence and ruthless and clinical in attack. A job still to do, but they put themselves into an incredible position, Arne Slot's men.
Mo Salah, after a quarter of an hour, and never mind his goal, he was, as he always is, an absolute delight in conversation there with his Egyptian friend and international teammate. Dominic Szoboszlai, 7 minutes out from half-time, and beyond half-time, as the rain intensified and the skies darkened in Manchester, Liverpool, light of touch and light of mood, controlled it to the very end. The final score, Manchester City 0, Liverpool 2, Liverpool 11 clear, 11 to play.
Thank you, Peter, and significantly, 7 of those 11 are at Anfield, and that will come as great comfort to Arne Slot and his team. Can they start to plan the parade, Daniel Sturridge?
No, they cannot. Still work to be done, but they'll be very, very happy with today's performance. The manager will be delighted, of course, with how the team went about their business. They worked tirelessly when they didn't have the ball. City controlled the game in large parts, but it was an unbelievable performance by the team. They were clinical when they needed to be. The players will leave the stadium very proud, as will the fans, and now it's all about going on to the next game and flipping your mentality to the next one now, because at the end you can enjoy this moment, but you know that there's more games to play and it's not over yet.
But it feels like a pivotal weekend, doesn't it, Jamie?
Yeah, for me, I think Liverpool are going to go on and win the title, not just because of...
He's dared to say it, Micah, in February.
Finally!
It's not so much the lead that they have over Arsenal right now. Arsenal are in a situation where they've got no strikers, they've got no attackers, you know, they're going to drop more points, and I think when you go through a season, and Roy will know this better than anybody, there's statement wins when you win a league title. And beating Manchester City, the champions, home and away, is as big a statement as you can have. And that man, I think we all feel, will be lifting, you know, the league title, and it's almost a matter of when, not if.
Well, haven't done that, beating City home and away since 2015-16. Is it job done, Roy?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think you look at the spine of the team, outstanding. They're physically strong. Squad players are very good. They've got pace. They've got obviously Salah, who's amazing. His stats are fantastic. They've got momentum, and the other teams are just slipping up. And yeah, the points lead they have, as you said, 7 games at home. They've only lost one all season. Yeah, all over.
Well, it's entirely possible they could go the entire season unbeaten away from home, which they have never done in the top division. They've only got 4 more games to achieve that feat. And with Mo Salah in this sparkling form with the ball at his feet, it really does feel like anything is possible for this Liverpool side this season. Job done here at the Etihad Stadium. Calm, controlled, efficient. And with 11 games to go, they are now 11 points clear. And I say about the weekend being significant because look what happened behind Liverpool this weekend. Arsenal beaten, Forest losing at Newcastle, and of course Manchester City losing here. For them now it feels like a race very much for a top 4 finish, or maybe even top 5, and it is a congested race as well. Maybe even Brentford can force their way into that conversation. They won again this weekend, back-to-back victories for Spurs, good win for Crystal Palace across London at Fulham. 2-2 it finished between Everton and Manchester United, and significant victories for West Ham and indeed Wolves, putting some daylight between themselves.
By McAllister, on by Szoboszlai, hit by Salah! There's that beaming Egyptian smile again! A hefty deflection for sure. Alexander-Arnold, Salah running from onside. Away from Guardiola, And set for Szoboszlai! Who's stopping them? Liverpool are meaning this and some. They're closing in.
They certainly are getting closer by the week. And the Liverpool fans are still here at the Etihad, singing in the rain, having a bit of a party. It feels a little bit like a title party. They are a long way from done yet. But that 11-point lead is starting to look unassailable, despite the fact we're still only in February. 2-0 win here. City with double the number of shots, but managed to amass a total of XG of 0.63 from 16 shots, which tells us they were pretty low-quality chances that came their way. Liverpool content to sit back, 34% possession, the lowest they've had in the league this season, and in fact the lowest they've had when winning a game in the Premier League since they started counting those numbers 20 years ago. Clever set-piece routine got them started. Mo Salah at the heart of it, peerless yet again here at the Etihad. And let's hear from both of those two players now with Patrick Davison.
Guys, well played. Feels, Mo, like not just a really significant day, but a really significant weekend. How big a result do you think that is?
It's incredible. It's a very hard place to come and play here. Tough team. They have an incredible manager. They dominate the game. I think they can dominate any game here. But I'm glad in the end we managed to win the game.
How did you do it, Dom? Particularly interested actually in your role, because it looked like yourself and Curtis Jones almost like both false nines or both as 10s.
No, that was the plan. We played with 2 10s. Yeah, as Mo said, they managed the game almost 90%. So, but at the end, the result is for us, and we are happy to take the 3 points home.
Even though they dominated a lot of the ball, did you kind of feel in control of it? Did you feel sort of fairly safe, like you were managing them pretty well?
Well, we were defending on our probably 30 meters from our goal. But yeah, we just gave everything. We knew that's going to happen, and yeah, it's part of the game. Sometimes you don't have always the ball, especially against City away. So yeah, but yeah, as I said, happy to take the 3 points.
So Mo, they've caused you a lot of pain over the years, and to be fair, you've caused them some as well. But what does it mean to come here and win?
It's special, to be fair, especially when you're running to the title race. It's incredible. They won like 4 in a row now. It's an incredible team. But hopefully we just keep calm, because sometimes the pressure get into us. So hopefully we just keep calm and just play our game and try to win each game.
Is that key, Dom, that you stay calm now? You heard the fans at the end singing, "We're going to win the league." I can tell you that us in the media are going to get a bit giddy. You guys have got to go out and win, what, 7, 8, 9 more games, so you're the ones that have to stay cool.
I didn't hear it. I was so tired. So
you are exhausted, aren't you?
No, we have to keep going. It's gonna be a tough game home against Newcastle, and then yeah, as you said, 11 more games to go. It's never end. So we have to keep calm. We have to keep going. We have to take the games by game, and yeah. At the end, hopefully, we're going to be on the top.
Just tell us about your contribution today. I'd say you're one of the unsung heroes of this team, but a really nicely weighted flick to make the corner routine happen, and then a goal of your own as well.
No, he just said it was not the best assist. I gave it to him.
What?
The ball was not supposed to come in that area.
Oh, well, I mean...
No, I'm kidding.
No, yeah. Yeah, we practiced it yesterday, and... yeah, hopefully we can do it even more times. Finally, he could also find me. It's not happened all the time. But yeah, I'm happy to score also and give him an assist.
Yeah, he's having a little dig back there, Mo, isn't he?
He's still a kid, so I wouldn't give him back, so it's fine.
Do you know what? I've run out of questions for you, really. But you're now at 30 goals for the season, all competitions, 5th time in 8 seasons. Are you better than ever?
I don't know. It's opinion. Maybe people prefer my first season. People prefer now, but I think I prefer now because it's just winning the league, you doing your best, and helping the team, helping young players as well. It's incredible. Yeah, probably this year. Yeah.
Do you need another title? And does it feel close now?
I wouldn't say I feel close. It's just like we need another title for sure. Me and the big guys here in the team, we need another title. But yeah, we'll give it our best and we'll give it a good shot and we'll see.
Well done today. Player of the match amid some controversy and a slightly angry Szoboszlai. Mo Salah.
Again, thank you. Thank you.
But he's just a kid and he's got plenty of time to win plenty more Player of the Match awards himself, hasn't he? I think, Daniel, one of the features, it feels like, of this run towards the title for Liverpool is how they have managed to keep stress away, to keep nerves completely out of the picture. It looks so effortless at times today.
I think that the calmness of the manager and the experience of the spine of the team, the experienced players that they've got in Alisson, Verge, Mo, who have been in these moments, you know, many times. Obviously, they've failed at times coming here as well. And throughout the season, you know, I think they've performed unbelievable. They've been consistent. And I think that's not a trait that is respected a lot of the time, because I think sometimes, you know, when you're talking about the best players in teams, sometimes they're top, sometimes they're not. But when you're looking at the big names for Liverpool, the goalkeeper when he's been playing, Verge has been a revelation this season, and Mo's numbers, I mean, he's on a record pace right now. So you have to say to them that even though the players are older, it seems as if they're like fine wine, baby. They're just getting better as time goes on. So give them a lot of credit. And the manager, what he's done to come into the squad, into the club, and get the squad to play his style and almost take on his personality in terms of how calm they are in games. They seem to stick to his game plan quite often. Today, the tactics were different. But again, they come out here, they do whatever they need to do. And as you said, they adapt. So I'm really impressed.
Spearheaded by a sensational season from Mo Salah, as Patrick was alluding to in the questions, and we'll come on to talk about just what an extraordinary year it's been for Mo Salah. But there it is again, and Liverpool fans are not going to tire of seeing their team 11 points out in front, and whether Varsy's superior goal difference as well, 10 better than Arsenal, their nearest challenger right now. Of course, we're beaten at home by West Ham yesterday to really put this on Liverpool's plate. Only 3 times in Premier League history has a lead that big or greater been overturned. The most recent, 97-98. Micah, can you build a case? Can you build a case for something extraordinary happening here from someone else to come from the pack?
No, I think if Arsenal had a fully fit squad, maybe, but no Saka, losing Havertz. I mean, I just don't have anyone at top. I think if you look at Arsenal probably kicking himself in January that they didn't bring anyone in. Of course, you don't know you're going to get injuries. But I just think this Liverpool team can adapt. They've played the heavy metal football and then they go back to playing a low block and then can counter-attack. I think everything about this team is just sensational. It's finding a way to win. And at times I've watched Liverpool this season, I don't think they've been scintillating. I don't, but I think they've managed their moments really well. Daniel talked about the key players in the team. The spine is incredibly good and they hardly get injured. That is a main factor. Jamie talked about Liverpool before and Van Dijk, that season when they didn't compete, he was injured. But when you've got someone like that at the back, it makes a massive difference. You can just see the confidence oozing out of him. And we'll talk about Mo Salah a bit later.
You know, the star men turn up every week.
Correct.
The star men turn up every week. That's what you need. And you obviously need a helping hand along the way. But the only thing we keep saying, we're looking at Arsenal and go, Arsenal needs to do better, but you need other teams to do better. You can't just keep looking at Arsenal to be them challengers. They've obviously come up short and maybe again missing that striker. But it's up to the other teams and some of the other top teams to start competing. I know we've been critical of Arsenal for slacking off recently, but you need 1 or 2 other teams to compete as well. It can't be just on Arsenal.
Daniel mentioned the word legacy when we were talking earlier about Mo Salah, but do you think there could be a theory that some of these senior players in this Liverpool dressing room, the likes of Alisson, Virgil van Dijk, Mo Salah, would want more than 1 league title to show for their efforts at Liverpool?
I've said this for the last few years. What Liverpool have done, or the quality players that they've got, and how good a team they've been, they haven't won enough. And I'm not criticising them really. The competition's been so strong. And you look at Manchester City, arguably, 4 titles in a row, winning a treble, a domestic treble as well. Arguably the greatest sort of Premier League team we've seen, or certainly era, is Pep Guardiola, and that's what this Liverpool team have come up against. And when you actually look at what they've won, it isn't enough, or maybe you could frame it a different way, they probably deserved a little bit more. I mean, they've lost, I think, at least 2 Champions League finals, lost the Premier League on the last day of the season twice as well, with sort of record numbers in terms of points. So, yeah, I think what Mo Salah said there as well, legacy-wise in terms of winning things, because you've got to think of the club that you play for. This is a club who's got as good a history as probably any club in world football. So you talk about putting these players up against, the goalkeeper up against Ray Clements, or Virgil van Dijk up against Alan Hansen. These guys have won 6-7 titles.
Could this team do that, Jim? Do you think if he keeps some of the star men there, obviously recruitment again in the summer, that they could try and win it for the next 2? They look at City and think City might need a year or 2 to rebuild themselves. Is that the challenge now for this team?
Yeah.
You win the league, kick on for the next 2 or 3 years.
You know that better than anybody about winning and going again. I do think Liverpool were a little bit unfortunate the year they won the league. Van Dijk gets the big injury, a cruciate, something that's hard to sort of replace. But what I would say is an exciting thing for Liverpool is Slot didn't buy any. He hasn't bought anyone really. They brought Chiesa in at the last minute to try and maybe cover Salah if he was injured. Now, he's going to know this squad a lot better going into next season. And if I'm being honest, he only ever uses 14 or 15 players. There's probably 4 or 5 players he doesn't rate in the squad. I'm not being critical, but he's probably thinking, OK, now I know what this team needs. And even though this team's going to go on and win the league title, I still think there's 3 positions in this team that can be improved quite a bit. It's not about bringing 4 or 5 players in, and squad players, and improving the team or a certain area. What positions would you say? I think Liverpool could bring a left back in. I think they can bring a centre forward in, and an attacking midfield player who I'm talking about actually going into the team, in sort of 3 areas, and then maybe improve, certain areas of the squad as well. So that's pretty exciting, and you would imagine Liverpool would have money to spend, because, as I said, they haven't spent anything in the last couple of years.
He said this week, actually, I think, Arne Slot, that they know now which areas of the team they want to target in the summer, which is an exciting prospect for Liverpool when they could win it very comfortably this time round. Let's have a look at the last 11 games they face. And as I said, 7 of them, including the next 3, are at Anfield, which feels like a big advantage, doesn't it, in the run-in, when they need a maximum 26 points to see off Arsenal, who can still get to a maximum of 89. That's if they win all their remaining games. And I'm not sure if the team here would think that is possible or not. Liverpool can still get to 97. So 7 at home. Do you think it's going to be 4 or 5 games? Might the actual celebrations start before the end of the season? Before even Arsenal actually head to Anfield 3 weeks before the season's out?
I think they've got some tough games though. Everton, those derby games, you never know what can happen in those types of games there. Fulham have been playing exceptional. Newcastle, they're playing against teams that, even though some of them are going to be fighting for European places, and then there's other teams in there that, when players are just playing free, and it's like, we've not really got much to play for outside of just showing ourselves and playing well. It goes the other way as well, in that at times those teams aren't necessarily, at their best. But for me, they're going to win 7 or 8 of those games. If we're being real, they're going to win 7 or 8 of those games. The key is how they do it. They don't have to win in the great way of scoring 4 or 5 or whatever. It's just great if it's a 1-0, it's a 1-0.
This is what we used to do at United when we were obviously with 10, 11, 12 games to go. The manager would remind players, particularly the strikers, you score 2 goals a game now, you win the league.
What was that mentality like when you're going for it, when you got that lead?
Obviously, listen, it's more exciting for the neutral if it's a bit tight, but for you in a dressing room and you're that much clear, it's fantastic. And you think you're 11, but a couple of days later you want to be further ahead. You just want to give that.
So are you sort of creating your own sort of paranoia that 11 is not enough?
Oh yeah, you have to have that. You have to have that. I suppose that you're a bit of tension in the dressing room. Say, listen, particularly if you start looking at stats, you think if you slip up now, you'd be a laughing stock. So you keep yourself. You're looking at the players there getting interviewed afterwards, and obviously they're probably low key a little about it. But in the dressing room, you know what a big result is. The manager knows. The opposition will know. But you still didn't have to kick on. And
but did you tell the players that? As a captain, when I just keep your head, what sort of environment?
You would be reminding people, but about being complacent and being on your toes. You'd have good squad members, and obviously the manager would do it. The senior players would do it. You make sure you don't slack off in training. Or you look at some of the fixtures there, for example, and you're thinking you're playing Southampton at home, but you treat Southampton like you're playing Real Madrid. You treat teams with respect. And if they carry on doing what they're doing, then they don't have to. Liverpool don't have to do anything extraordinary. Just do what they're doing. Be efficient. The 2 goals a game is a big one. It's a kind of simple message going. You get them, which you've been doing all season anyway. At least 2 goals a game. you're guaranteed to win the league.
I think when you're speaking, and I'm speaking, because you're speaking about the team that you support, you're always thinking, oh, I don't want to say that in case it comes back and haunt me. But if Man City were in that position or Arsenal in that position...
You'd say it's done.
It's done.
I've said that.
I know,
so come on, have a bit of conviction.
I do think it's done. And it's not just because of the league. My point being is, what you've got to remember is this Liverpool team have only really lost one game of any significance, which was Nottingham Forest. They lost in the Champions League in a dead rubber. They lost in an FA Cup and they changed the whole team. And they lost in a first leg against Tottenham, which was basically half-time. The tie wasn't over. So really, when you go through the season, this is a team who just don't lose games. And Arsenal, I think if Arsenal have got a fully fit team and Liverpool are fully fit, there's probably very little in it. If they played in a cup final, it's a toss of a coin. But with the injuries they've got, the players that they've had sent off, they've had a little bit of, unfortunate times, at times their own fault, as yesterday was. But Arsenal aren't good enough. They've got Marino up front. He's a midfield player. You can't win the league with that. So I think, the lead and how good this Liverpool team has been, there's no one catching Liverpool.
We keep looking at teams, you go, oh, that's a tough game. Everything's going to be tough. This was tough today. But they turn up.
Yeah.
Yep, they just keep on trucking, don't they, and keep on winning. And talking of reminders, Manchester City are just reminding everyone here. If you just look behind you on the little screen there.
4 in a row, champions!
Champions, that's right.
Well, Pep did it earlier in his interview with Neil Warnock, and that has been blasting out on the electric screens here as soon as the game was finished today. That was some achievement. You can't take that away from City, but it looks like Liverpool are about to snatch their title. We'll be talking Mo Salah and looking at the 2 goals that sung City in just a moment. A set piece at the Etihad, that is a collector's item for any visiting team. They scored 2 goals of their own. Trent Alexander-Arnold with his radar right foot helping the cause. Mo Salah at his ruthless best, and Dominic Szoboszlai coming to the party as well at the top end of the pitch. And Arne Slot's team have taken a big step towards the Premier League title here this afternoon. It all started with a very smart set piece, and wasn't it nice to hear Szoboszlai talking about the fact they only looked at this really yesterday?
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, so listen, we obviously took on board what the manager was asking, and brilliant. Listen, I love watching this because obviously the pace of the pass, but it's this, there's movement, there's blocking, the usual stuff, but he's got to get that pass 100% right. Slight deflection, City a little bit again, just off and under.
If it's just off, Rico Lewis is getting there, isn't he?
Yeah, and that's it. I think that's the position.
Everyone's involved there, Roy.
Could Lewis actually lunge at it? You know what I mean? When he just misses, but the pace of the pass has to be perfect, and it is perfect. The pass.
Everyone knows the jobs, whether it's Szoboszlai, Robertson blocking, then everyone blocking in between that. It's so difficult. I mean, it was worked brilliantly well.
I suppose the question is why they don't score more set-piece goals, this Liverpool team. Was it the 3rd or 4th that they've scored this season, the lowest in the Premier League? Is it because it's not a priority?
Listen, I think it's a priority for every team to try and score from set pieces. We've seen Arsenal, we've probably never seen anything like that before in the Premier League, where it feels like a team, every time they get a set piece, everybody in the stadium feels like it's going to be a goal, and especially when they've got, Van Dijk and Canate, they probably should score more goals from that situation. But the interesting thing is, you go back a couple of years, remember the goal Man City scored at Anfield, where they played it into that near post, Kevin De Bruyne, John Stones in there and got the goal. So you're always trying to find something. But the interesting thing is, we know as players, when you've got a set piece and you've worked on something, you have to do it on the first one. So when you're the defensive team, I think I'm not criticising City here, by the way, it was brilliant from Liverpool, but I think you've always got to be that switched on. Especially when I was a defender, about the first one is always the one when they try something, because you might not get another corner, so you have to do it on the first one.
And when we look at the blocks, we see Man City block, but I'm always amazed that teams just let themselves get blocked. They must feel going, you must smell danger, you must go, lads, there's something going on here. And you, as a defender, you have to multitask. People think, well, I've got my man here. No, you have to get your man and be ready for something like this. But as if players are going, I've just got one job to do, and if someone's trying to block you,
I think it's hard, isn't it? I totally agree with what you're saying, but you're just thinking, and you back me up on this, Carl, I just don't want my man to score.
I wait to see what you said.
You're just so obsessed with my man cannot score.
I know, but you know when the players get in that position, Micah, you must feel you're going, listen, there's something happening here, lads.
Yeah, but you don't know what's happening, do you? So you're not sure what to prevent.
But obviously you have to be ready. You have to have some sort of football intelligence. You see people at the near post going, and obviously you can't give Salah time by himself. So that's why the set piece had to be so precise, and it was. But I still think City should have been a bit more sharper. Smell the danger, it's called.
Talk us through the second goal, Daniel, which involves some clever football from Liverpool.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, firstly we see the ball from Trent here. Szoboszlai's offside. But talking about the runs in behind from Mo, these days you see him picking out the right pass at the right time. It's a devastating finish from Szoboszlai with his weaker left foot. But the timing of the run from Mo to stay onside for one, but then to have the ability to be able to say, you know what, okay, I'm going to barge the defender off the ball and do what I need to do. Szoboszlai's just limbering into a position. He's not really doing any sort of change of movement or anything like that. Hit the target, of course, to the keeper's low side. But for me, this is what Liverpool have been doing for years.
And this is what you were talking about before the game, Daniel. Maybe Szoboszlai was listening. He wanted to see from him more goals and assists, and he's got both today.
For sure. And when I look at him, the pace and power he has running in behind and pressing is top level. The key to get the next step for him is to add the goals to his game, because he gets in these positions so often, and it's either that he doesn't want to take the shot on or he's not totally focused on the action.
But he's got a good track record, hasn't he, from his previous clubs. It's not as if he doesn't know how to put the ball in the back of the net. Maybe he's still finding his feet at Liverpool a little bit. From last season, he's getting a bit more confident on his ability and a little bit more confidence, maybe.
Yeah. No problem with the confidence of Mo Salah, that is for sure. And a goal and assist in the same game for the 11th time this season, which is just simply extraordinary. Jamie, it's hard to describe. Even Pat said it in the interview with him. 41 goals and assists in a single Premier League season. Look, he's only 6 points off top spot here, and he's got, as we know, another 11 games to go. He's already the only player that's gone past the 40 mark twice, and the top two on that graphic have done it in a 42-game season, and this is Mo Salah. So far, what are we in? 27 games into the season. Put this into some kind of context for us.
Well, this is going to end up being the greatest season we've ever seen from an individual. I have no doubt about that. And it's not whether he finishes above those players in terms of numbers, it's how far. And maybe sets the bar so high that in the future nobody can ever get there ever again. We are seeing something special. We know that over the last 7 or 8 years, but this is like an old-timer season, this.
That list is great, though. Look at Shearer. Andy Cole, such an underrated player. Such an underrated Thierry Henry, the great strikers.
We still class Salah as a white player.
Well, he calls himself a winger, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a white player, obviously.
I think he's a wide striker.
Yeah, of course.
He's a wide striker. Most seasons he ends up with the most shots. If you end up with the most shots in a season, you can't class yourself as an out-and-out winger. I think he is there to score goals. I think at the time, Mane and Salah were wide forwards, and Firmino was vacating the space for them to make the runs in behind. I think his role in this team is to be the goal scorer. It's not to be the creator.
And I think if you're going to be successful at any big club, you do need to end up world-class player. You can have brilliant players around you. United, you'd have a Cantona or Ronaldo, Rooney. You need that one player who's almost ahead of everyone else just to get you over the line and make the difference in tight games. And Salah does that week in, week out.
I think when you look at the names on there, some are goal scorers and some are sort of great players. I think there's probably a slight difference. You know, you class Alan Shearer as a great goal scorer, still a great player. Thierry Henry's almost like a great player. And I think most people would say, when we talk about the Premier League, we probably always put Thierry Henry on the top. For me, Mo Salah's definitely second. And if he signs a new contract, that is going to be a fight to the finish.
What he wants now?
Thierry's a colleague of ours, isn't he? So at the moment, Thierry's still on top, but we are looking at somebody who's pushing.
I thought you were going to say, show me the money. Give me what he wants.
Well, I don't know what he wants. If I had it, I'd give him it.
He's on track to have the best season in terms of goals and assists, as Jamie was referring to. We can see that by looking at the minutes per goal and assists. He's ahead of that wonder season from Erling Haaland. His brilliant first season in 17-18. Luis Suarez, who you had the pleasure of partnering up front. Daniel, is he above the rest?
I think it's a tough question, man. There's some top players. I think what Mo's doing season in, season out is literally ridiculous. It's mind-blowing. He's on the list twice there. You know, for him to be doing this, and I don't even think when he came to the club, anyone ever thought he would be close to being a guy who would score 25 a season or 20 goals a season. Sure, you did.
From the Fiorentina dressing room.
Yeah, but I'm saying for you to say he's going to come to the Premier League and score 20 goals a season is like a bold statement. But what we're seeing, the consistency from what he's doing on the pitch, and furthermore, I think sometimes you see Mo, you know, he'll say, oh, yes, Sturridge, I don't pay attention, or he doesn't know about stats, but he'll see that 40 one day and go, you know what? I want that record. It's right.
tracking for
I knew
57.
he was special though. Even when he was at Basel, he went to Fiorentina, he goes to Roma. Obviously, it didn't work for him at Chelsea, but when he go into this Premier League with Liverpool, I just knew. And I think the greatest compliment you can give Salah, he doesn't have to play well. Doesn't have to play well to score goals. It's just.
You didn't know he'd score 20 plus goals.
Honestly, there's an interview. Go back and look at the interview, and I was like, this player is too good for Fiorentina. We shouldn't have him. He came there on loan.
He said that went down well with the club.
But I just knew just the special, his touch, his technique, how selfish he was in front of goal. He went to Juve in a Coppa Italia. He ran from 40, 50 yards past some of the best defenders in the league at the time. I just knew he was special. Maybe I'm being...
And you know what,
giving a little bit too
he's
much
always
credit.
available.
Exactly.
He's always available.
Would you have him up there as, what, top two?
Whatever about top two, he's up there with some of the greatest players, definitely.
He's having a Messi and Ronaldo season, isn't he? That's that thing of scoring.
Let's
know your ranking, Daniel,
We're talking Ballon d'Ors now. If we're not talking Ballon d'Ors with Mohamed Salah, then it's getting out of hand. We have to start putting him in that conversation now and saying, I don't even know if he's had a top 5 vote or a top 3 vote yet. I mean, he's not been on the stage to go,
Why do you think he hasn't?
I have no idea. To be totally transparent, I think when you look at maybe the history of the award, typically it goes to someone in La Liga. Obviously, Rodri.
6th 1 year. 6th.
Jamie came 19th.
I come 19th.
Daniel, can I ask you, with this extraordinary season he's had, he had a really good season last year as well, but it seems his game has gone to another level in terms of these numbers. What is it about? Is it about something that he is driving himself? Is it about the way that Arne Slot builds this team to get the best out of Mo Salah?
I think yes. I think he's got less defensive responsibilities. I think the way Jurgen set up was we're a machine as a team. Everyone working, I think he's got less defensive responsibilities, which then allows him to have more energy. I think when you look about the best players in the world, we talk about Cristiano Ronaldo's, Messi's and Neymar's and Mbappe, Vinny. These players aren't defending, tracking back every single action. They'll do it from time to time, but they're not defending every single action, getting back into positions. They're reserving their energy to make a difference up the other end of the pitch. And I think when we talk about those guys, I'm sure you would have forgiven Cristiano or the likes of Rooney.
No, you get back.
You would say...
No, he's getting a bit older now, yeah, as the lads got older, but 4 or 5 years ago, he'd be saying get back.
How old's Mo now? He's 30...
No, I'd forgive him a bit more now, and I'd always forgive a striker who's going to be doing the business at the other end. Yep. But when he was a bit younger, you obviously have to come back.
So on that age, Jamie, on that age point, if his game has been tweaked by Arne Slot, so he's maximising his energies at the top end of the pitch, age becomes less relevant, doesn't it? He's 32 now. He's 33 next year. What would stop Liverpool giving him what he wants to revisit that conversation?
Listen, you go back to the numbers. We still don't know, is it a length of contract, is it a money issue? But when I go back to him having a Messi season, I'll never forget when I first joined Sky and we were doing the Champions League. We were at the new camp and we had the view of the game, and I just remember just watching him walking about the pitch, and he'd just come alive when he needed to do. And Mo Salah's probably not at that stage where he's actually walking about. But we had a stat about Trent getting dribble passed by Doku in the first half, but he's not getting the best help in the world. But the reason you're arm away with that because of the numbers going the other way. And that's what reminds me again a bit, talking about Messi. So he's getting the Messi numbers in terms of a goal or an assist every game, but he's almost playing that type of role where he knows basically his body better than anybody, and he just comes alive. So I actually think Liverpool, great result. I think Liverpool played amazing today on the ball. But second half, every time they counter-attacked, it was him in behind, and even playing lovely passes into people. He's just almost got that status that he knows he's the best player, not just in the team, but in the league.
And what might have helped him as well is that his contract was up. Sometimes you find a bit of motivation from that. He's thinking, obviously, I'm playing for a better deal if I'm going abroad. I know some people say it's a distraction, but I think he's used it in a real positive way. He's not been, even his interviews, and I know he's doing well, he's talking about, but contract situation can get a player down. It can affect their pride or their ego, but he's used that as a bit of energy, and I think that's helped him, and it's almost motivated him a bit more.
I think his experience is now led him to this point where his motivation's there, his professionalism in the summers, the players, everybody knows, even when I was playing with him, comes back in unbelievable shape every single season. He wants to be the best. He wants to be recognised as the best in the world as well. I know from having conversations with him in the dressing room, he wants to be the best player in the Premier League. He wants to be the best player in the world. I think now this team is undoubtedly his. I think in previous years, people would say Sadio Mane, maybe he's the best player in the team. Oh, Bobby Firmino, this and that. Now it's like, it's the Mo Salah show. Like, it's a fantastic team of players, but when it comes to Liverpool going forward, if I want to take 10 shots today, I'm taking 10 shots today.
But does he need a few more league titles over the next... If he stays at Liverpool, does he still need a bit more to be... Is he still behind them other lads for winning them bigger awards, maybe?
Oh, you mean for the awards?
For the awards and his legacy, you know.
I think the fact he's probably with Egypt and he's probably not playing in the major tournament as such, or maybe got a great chance of winning. I think it's either the Champions League or the major tournament. Normally, the player who excels in that. You know, you're looking at sort of Vinny Jr., Mbappe right now, Real Madrid looking really good, going for the Champions League. Liverpool will be in that conversation, but right now he's certainly the front runner. And Roy, what you've just said there in terms of getting maybe more trophies and league titles, that could actually put him above probably Kenny Dalglish and Steven Gerrard in sort of where he ranks in terms of Liverpool legends, because I think right now he's right on their shoulders.
Just say AFCON is a major tournament because a lot of people are a bit saying people not taking that. AFCON is a major tournament, just so you don't...
No, but Egypt are not going to win the World Cup, are they?
No, but AFCON is...
if he wins AFCON.
It's big, wasn't it? Remember when him and Mane was going for it in the league?
God.
I'm just saying, AFCON...
No, it's a fact. It's a fact.
Put you in your place.
It's a fact. If you win the Euros or you win the Copa America, it's deemed to be big, so the AFCON's in the same level.
Well, I hope he's got a big mantelpiece, because he might be adding the Premier League title to it. Who knows what else in terms of the team trophies this year? Maybe the Ballon d'Or as well this season. His manager certainly deserves some credit. Here is Arne Slot with Patrick Davison.
Well, Arne, Liverpool not won here in the Premier League in a decade. You've come and done it at the first attempt. Let's start with the how. How did you do it today?
By scoring a set piece. If you want to win a big game, at least what you need is a neutral set piece balance, or score one and not concede. That's what we did, and we defended. Yeah, if you come here, you have to defend. We defended really well with so many players constantly around the ball, and that's why we could keep them away from big chances, because that they will have ball possession is clear. But you have to make sure that they can't create as much as they normally do.
Who deserves credit for the set piece? It looked, if you don't mind me saying, a little bit Bournemouth inspired. They scored one against Arsenal earlier in the season that I think you might have taken note of.
Yeah, now you tell me, I remember that one. It wasn't inspired by that. It's not me. It's we as a group of people look at how the setup is, and then in this situation, someone came up with a brilliant plan. It wasn't me, and and we knew that space could be there, and we trained it yesterday, and now because of a deflection it went in, and that's so helpful, because it wasn't that we were dominating the game.
It's quite an interesting tactical matchup, particularly at the beginning. It looked like City did something different with Foden up top, maybe sacrificing control in midfielders for attacking players, and you did something different as well with kind of 2 10s. So what was the thinking, and how did you feel that played out?
No, first half played out better for them than for us, apart from the score, of course, because we were 2-0 up, but they were dominating the game. I felt also in the first half that, not that they had that many big chances, but it felt as if they could score any moment, because we weren't really comfortable. And then we could set it up at halftime a bit clearer what we wanted from the players. And that helped us, I think, a lot, because in the second half, I cannot remember them having a big chance.
So did you feel like overall that you controlled it and managed it as you wanted, or just from what you're saying there, that actually they kind of forced you back more than you wanted?
Ideally, we have the ball more than the other team. That's what we are till now, maybe every single game we've played. But City is, when it comes to ball possession, the most difficult one to play against, because they like it a lot and they have players that are so comfortable on the ball. So I told before the game, the only chance you have to win here is you defend really well. So yes, we try to play as good as we can with the ball. But if we're not on top of our game defensively, you have no chance to win here, because they're too comfortable with the ball.
Okay, so that's kind of the how. Let's get to what it means. What does it mean? Because it feels, with what happened yesterday with Arsenal, like a huge weekend, like the weekend we might all look back on and say, yeah, that's where they clinched it.
Yeah, 3 days ago we had a draw at Villa, and people told me we were not in a good place. And now, for all of a sudden, 3 days later, it's exactly the opposite again. I know what we have to do to win our games. You could see it today, how hard we had to work, and there are 11 games to go, and if these players are able to keep on working this hard, we have a chance. Let that be clear. But like I said, we work every single day so hard to achieve this, that it's 3 months of very hard work to hopefully keep the results going as they are now.
So like you said, 11 games to go, 11 points clear. What is the key to managing it? You've done it before. You've won a title in Holland. So what's the secret?
Actually, there's not such a big secret. It's what I just said. We're 11 points clear, but Arsenal has 1 game in hand. So, yeah, what we did today, work as hard as we can and play the football in certain moments. We did really well today as also, I think, the best attack we had didn't end up in a goal. That started right with Trent and ended with Trent with an overlap. So it was a great attack, and you always have to adapt to the challenge you got. So if you play City away, it's a totally different challenge than if you play Plymouth, Argyle away, or Wolves at home. So a week ago, we experienced how difficult Wolves at home was. So 11 games to go, and they will all be difficult like the one today.
So it sounds like your job is, like we'd call it, keeping a lid on it. You know, media gets excited, you're going to get loads of questions about it. The fans get excited. You can't, the players can't, because you're the ones who've got to go out and get the results.
No, but it's also easier for us not to get excited because we know what we have to put in. And maybe the fans just simply look at the two goals we scored and like, wow. And they don't look at all the work rate we've done to get this result, because this result was more about defense than it was about attack. So that's why it's normal for fans, every fan base that from a team that's leading the league, they are positive. And it's up to us to understand why we are where we are, and these boys know really well, I think.
Well done today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It has been a really clear and a really consistent message from Arne Slot in his first season at Anfield. Work hard, and we will have a chance. How impressed have you been with Arne Slot? His first season in the Premier League.
He's doing okay, isn't he?
He's doing all right.
To be fair, yeah, obviously he came in a bit under the radar a little bit. There was probably no big expectations at Liverpool, obviously last summer, particularly when they didn't really get anybody in player-wise. You think of the first game of the season, the first half at Ipswich, if you said, listen, you're looking at the league champions here, you would have probably been locked up. So he's done brilliant. The players have reacted well. He's got a nice way about him. He's pretty honest, straight up. And he spoke well there, and people do. You do have to remind people it is hard work. It is hard. No one hands you a league title. You've got to work hard for it. They've got some brilliant players. They've got momentum. And also for the other teams who are trying to chase them down, they're running out of games. I know people say there's a long way to go. Of course, there can be 1 or 2 twists. But the gap's wider, and there's 1 less game now. 11 games to go. Great position to be in. The manager has done fantastic.
What stands out for you, Daniel, about his management style?
I think just how level he is. Doesn't seem to get too high or too low. He's just always level and just says it as is. I think he's very honest. I've been told by players that he's very honest with them as well. And I think that's...
Sometimes in quite a direct way?
Yeah, I think just being honest and saying it like it is to the player. I think as a player, you respect that when a manager just keeps it real with you and says, this is how I see you, or this is what you have to improve on, and you have to take that on board as a man and say, okay, this is what the manager wants from me. But he's very clear. He doesn't seem as if he tries to, play any games or anything like that with the press or anything like that. He's just being honest, and it shows with his players. They want to work for him, and they do their best every single week for him.
I was expecting that reaction from him, because watching that game felt like a throwback to probably when we played 20 years ago, a big European game. You go away, don't really get on the ball too much, you nick it and you come away. But the way the game's played now, the top managers want their teams to almost dictate the play. Be delighted with the result, don't get me wrong, but I was expecting him to sort of say, we can do better, we can do more, and that's promising for Liverpool going forward.
It's not quite the coronation just yet. 11 games to go. They might not need as many as that to get their hands on the Premier League trophy, which has been in City's possession for the last 4 seasons. So where does Pep Guardiola's team go next? We'll hear from him. Well, City weren't able to field their strongest 11 here to take on Liverpool, which is what Pep Guardiola would really have loved to do. They were beaten 2-0 with Erling Haaland watching on from the stands. And here's Pep Guardiola with Patrick Davidson.
Well, Pep, a tough day against your old rivals, certainly in terms of the result. How would you sum up the way the game actually unfolded?
We played really good. We arrived, I don't know how many times in the byline, closing the 18. Maybe we missed to be more productive in the shoots, or maybe You know, people in the middle arrive more in the box, but now we play against a fantastic team, a really, really good performance. Of course, the game in the first half was more open. It was 50-50, and of course, good set pieces and the chances that we had, and we could not convert. The second half, the defense was so deep. With transitions always are dangerous, but we controlled really well, except one obstruction that always happen. So, but against that team, what we have done, or we have tried for many years. So bring the opponent in their box and try to beat them there.
It was quite an interesting tactical game in the early part. Looked like Liverpool did something different. We spoke before the match. You did something slightly different. You dropped your controlling midfielders in Bernardo and Gundogan, played more attacking, played Foden through the middle. Did you feel tactically that setup worked for you?
The target was drop them and arrive in the final third for many times in the byline. How many times happened? A lot. And after that, we missed that. And because the most difficult is arrive when the team's defense so deep, like they happen. We make a good build up and left side when they happen to drop them there. What's next? And next we miss it a little bit because it's not easy. The 10 players in the box. But and of course with the crosses it's almost impossible to do it because the sides of the central defenders, but in that moment, you know, the pass and the shoot from outside, we could not find that the next step that we try to find when we drop and we arrive in the byline like we had done.
Did you target that left-hand side with Jeremy against Trent? Was that a plan?
No, because Savinho have done the same. How many times Savinho arrived in the final third? So I know we have a good wingers. They defend inside, and of course Salah defend today much more than the previous games. Like stay more up front, and the team was. Listen, I know the people don't believe me, but I know when the people, because I have a little experience to know that team when we play good, really good, and today was a really good performance.
So you've played your two old rivals this week. Real Madrid, your big rivals in the Champions League. Liverpool, who have been your big rivals in the Premier League. What have you learned? What's it taught you?
That if you have to lose, you have to lose the way we lose today. And in Madrid it was much better. So I think both games are bad. I saw many things that this club has a bright future with the players that we have. So except Kevin, all the players are, and maybe Nathan, all the players are so young and they have a good dynamics, and what the club is going to decide in the next future, we have a bright future for this club in the next years.
So is that the key, actually, out of today? I think you had 3 January transfer signings who started the game, all did well. Actually, maybe this was the first step for a new city, a new Man City.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody knows that a part, an areas for our old players will be there, will be here next season, but had to build for the next step. So it's normal. It's a question of time, but. Yeah, today, again, the amount of absence that we have, and even with that, we played really good against that team. I didn't see this season bring the Liverpool in the way they play most of the time. Of course, when they're getting the ball, when it's special connection, Alexander Arnold with Salah, Alexander Arnold in the middle. So Alexander Arnold is the best midfielder. So playing in a fullback, so they break the lines, they can break behind your back, and the runners that they have, Luis Diaz, Salah, it was Solai and after Gapco, so it's a really threat. But we bring them there, and always I miss is that is in the final third when we arrive there. That is depends a little bit the talent, the quality to dribble one and shoot or one crosses in the right moment, knowing that is not easy. But from there we'll build maybe the future.
Okay, so last question then: how much will it take to get this new Man City back up to Liverpool's level, not just on a one-off game, but over a 38-game season?
No, we're away. We're far away. We'll see in the future. So what we have done in this previous seasons have been good, but now we are away from them. But we knew it. But the way we behave and we play with the personality we play was really good.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thanks.
Patrick took the words out of my mouth. I mean, that's got to be the question right now for Manchester City. Can this team be challenging for the title next season? What's it going to take?
I think it's going to take reflection. I think this season's not been good enough by their standards. I think they've lost a lot of energy in that midfield area. We talked about Rodri a couple of months ago, losing him. It was obviously massive. Gonzalez has come into the team. And confidence, get the confidence back. Players like Phil Foden, who was outstanding last season, doesn't seem to be playing at the same level this season. And bringing in new faces. Mamouche looks good. Gonzalez, who I mentioned, looks good. Kusanov is only a 20-year-old kid, brought in a Reece. The Brazilian defender as well. A couple of injuries to come back with Haaland. I think the future's bright for Man City. I just think they're going through a time where the energy is lacking, the confidence is lacking, injuries at the wrong time. But I think next season they'll be back.
But has the transition in some ways got a long way to go for Manchester City? And I ask the question because they've used more players 29 or over than anyone else, bar West Ham United so far this season. And of course, that's not a good sign when you're thinking about players being at their peak years at what, between 25 and 28, maybe slightly older in some cases, like Mo Salah, but 40% of the players they've used this season have been in that older age bracket.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but I think if you look at Liverpool's top players, you know, how old's Virgil, how old's Salah, he's still doing it at that age. I just think...
But they can't all be that age, can they?
They can't all be that age, yeah, and they found it difficult. I think energy, like I said, has been the problem for Man City. I think bringing Gundogan from Barcelona because he knew the system, I thought he would slot in and be, you know, brilliant again this season. It's not quite worked for them. Where City were at their brilliant best is when they could press and get the ball back within 5 seconds. At the moment, they can't do it.
Do you think it'd be wrong, Roy, for a total clear-out? If we're talking about players like Kevin De Bruyne, Kyle Walker's obviously on loan right now, Gundogan, John Stones, I think he's out of contract. Then others are close to that in terms of Edison and Jack Grealish.
I think some of them players will be under pressure. Obviously, whether Pep wants to keep them, it depends on the contract situation. I think De Bruyne's contract's up. So you're thinking them lads would automatically probably move on because Pep...
And would that be the right thing?
Probably. There comes a time where we've all been there. You get a bit older. Particularly when you're playing in midfield and it's tough going, and the manager has to make that decision. He's obviously got to look at the bigger picture. But I wouldn't be panicking from City's point of view. They've recruited. They'll have a look again in the summer. And some of the players will move on. Some of the senior players. That's just the nature of the beast.
What you've got to remember is Liverpool were in this position a couple of years ago, and they got the recruitment right in terms of, you know, you look at that midfield. Well, McAllister, Gravenberch, and Szoboszlai. So they're not players this season. They were brought on the back of Liverpool being in a similar situation that Man City are now. They were fighting to make sure they got in the Champions League. They had Henderson and Fabinho there, who'd be an absolute, you know, stalwarts for the club, but they needed to move on. And it's just about getting the recruitment right. If City get those 2 or 3 players right in that midfield, and let's not forget, the recruitment's already started, you know, with Mamouche and Gonzalez coming in. If they get that right, of course they'll be back challenging next season.
This was January's spend, and it was totalling 176 million, so more spent in this January under Pep Guardiola than in the previous 7 combined January's. So the intent there is pretty clear. And just to throw into that mix, incidentally, they've fielded today the joint youngest 11 in the Premier League under Pep Guardiola at 25.68. So it wasn't an old side that we saw today. It was featuring 3 of these players who have come in. Does that tell us that they are going to try and bring that age down, Daniel?
Yeah, but you know, this team that they've been here challenging for so many years, and at some point, you know, they're gonna move on. So it is about bringing new faces in. They've got Haaland up front, perfect age. He's not really got anybody challenging him, so maybe they'll bring in another striker as well and say, OK, we'll have another option. They had Alvarez before. You know, Mamouche maybe does what Kevin De Bruyne is, similar thing to Kevin De Bruyne, as well as Foden, who's been quite flexible in position. So outside of that, when you look at the ages, I think it's more the midfield and the defence that are older. The attack's still really young. They're still in early 20s.
It'd be interesting, like people like Jack. What would he do with Grealish?
What would you do with him? Take him on a night out?
No, Jack. No, I think Jack could be under pressure. You know, where Pep's looked at Jack and he's picking up injuries and lifestyles and all that type of scenario. And we look some big games last year where he didn't even bring him on. I think Jack might be under pressure. Whether Pep wants to maybe move him on, I think that'd be an interesting one. But the other ones I think are straightforward. The older players, 32, 33, contracts are up. You think that's an easy decision. But I think there will be a few players under pressure whether the Pep wants to get rid of them.
When you think of the wide players City have had in the past, when they've won the titles, the short in that area now, I mean, listen, Doku is the type of player, if you were playing against him, it would be a nightmare. But I'm not sure you'd love playing with him. You know what I mean? I don't think he actually gives you that much. As I said, he was tough for Trent to come up against today, and you know we've been in that position. You think you come off the pitch and think, oh, but sometimes when you've got a player like that in your team, there's no real end product there. So I think of some of the wide players that you think of Sane, you think of Raheem Sterling, you think of Mahrez. Savino's looked all right since he's come in.
He's only young as well.
I think that's definitely an area they need to improve.
And Pep made the point there, but the second half, Liverpool were sitting in. But Man City are used to that. They're used to teams sitting in. But what they do, they have the quality or they have the presence in the middle of the box. Obviously, Haaland's a huge lot. Rodri is massive, obviously. But this City team is used to that. They're used to kind of passing and probing. But now you look at it, you go, when Liverpool were sitting there, you're going, there's nothing there for you. You're not.
Well, they did play well today, Man City, didn't they?
You know,
we're talking about
in the first half, definitely.
I think against Madrid. Madrid was a game where we was doing the game there, and it looked like there was a different level in class at times when Mbappe was on the ball.
Would you say the same about this a little bit?
But no, I think today they played a little bit better. I think today was more cutting edge up front. So Doku got down one wing, Savino down the other, but had no Haaland. Was getting crosses in there to a false nine Foden who couldn't get in there. They just
keep the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper.
If they want to play out from the back, Ederson can still do a job. Yeah. Obviously, the better keepers who can use a hand, you know.
That's the future then for Manchester City. What about the right now? And of course, we're talking about a club that's used to winning things. They want to be involved in the Champions League competition. And right now, they're sitting pretty in 4th place. But look at that queue of clubs all the way down to Fulham with 39. Even Brentford, you could say, on 37. Is it guaranteed that City are playing Champions League football next season?
Not guaranteed, of course not. There's plenty of clubs there, as we can see. But they've got a guy up front who's hungry. The team will be hungry to ensure that they're there. The last thing they want to do now is not be in the Champions League. So I think their mentality is just going to be, listen, whatever we do, lads, we make sure we get ourselves in that Champions League next season, because that also impacts players you attract as well, and players want to play Champions League football. So it's important for them to ensure that they're in that, for recruitment purposes.
I think they will. A few weeks ago I said they wouldn't, and the reason being was I looked at the sort of this run of fixtures, and I think it was, obviously they had Chelsea, they had Newcastle home, they had Liverpool, I think they go away to Tottenham midweek. So we're almost at the end of that really tough run, and the reason I say Tottenham away is because notoriously Pep Guardiola and even Man City, for how great they've been, they always struggle at Tottenham. I actually thought after those run of games they might be 6th or 7th. They're actually still in the top 4 now. So I think the fact that they're there now, I think they'll be fine in terms of Champions League.
And going back to next season, in some ways, have they got a little advantage because the rebuild has already started?
Yeah, I would say so. But I think it's not just a rebuild. Pep's got a certain way of playing, hasn't he? I think you said it earlier on, when it could take players a year, 18 months to get used to the system, and that's what they've got to get used to. But it's exciting. You know, some young players look good. Mamouche looks very good. Haaland back in the team. I like the relationship that they two was building up. I don't think it's as bad as everyone makes out. I think it's tough because of the level they've dropped to right now. But going forward, I think they're in good shape.
That Club World Cup, I don't think it'll be a help. I think it'll be a bit of a nightmare for them in terms of sort of almost just... Probably everyone at City just needs a break at the end of the season. What they've done is absolutely amazing. It's been a season they didn't expect, and they almost just need to get to the summer and clear their heads, and that's just a nightmare for them.
Does the manager need a break? Do you think when you see him, when you observe him in interviews and on the side of the pitch, that he has the enthusiasm for what it's going to take?
Yeah, I think so, but it looks, these results have beaten him up as well, which is great to see, because I think Pep always looks fresh. But I go back to management. You look at most managers who were winning every weekend, they look fantastic. But when they're losing, or the game beats you up. I've said that before. And it's great to see Pep looking a bit tired. I thought he was like a robot for a while. I thought he looked fresh as a daisy. It's definitely taken his toll on him. But I think when obviously he signed a new deal, and I still think that hunger's still there for him. He'll be hurt now, but if they can finish top 4 and don't be writing him off for the FA Cup, that's not such a bad season.
How are you looking now after putting the managers aside?
Me?
Yeah.
What are you trying to say? I feel okay, yeah.
You look great, Roy. You look great.
Years younger.